Thanks everybody for joining. First of all, thanks IIeX for the opportunity to, on behalf of Coke, to be presenting some of the cool things we're doing within the company and sharing with the crowd, like here at the conference. My name is Roberto Simrat. I'm a group director at Coca-Cola North America, where I lead the brand research across all the brands within the US. And we're going to have 3 presentations from Coke today. I'm going to kick off the first one, a little bit of background on myself. Been with Coke for 7 years. Before that, I worked for Colgate and Reckitt Benckiser, and also Nielsen. And I'm Brazilian, I'm not American, and I also worked in a little bit of weird places like Venezuela and Russia. It seems like I lost a bet somewhere along the way. For the first presentation, I'd like to invite Bob Goodwin with InfoScout. Bob is the senior director and practice leader at InfoScout, where he leads the consumer electronics vertical, in addition to several CPG relationships. And prior to joining InfoScout, Bob held executive positions at RI and the NPD Group.
Nice to be here, thank you.
So starting off the first track, it really has to do with how do you find consumers in a very early stage? How do you find a consumer in a haystack? And wanted to show to you how we have partnered with InfoScout in helping us achieve that. Clicker. Is the clicker working? There you go. So every time a new product gets launched, there's usually an interaction between ourselves and a brand manager. So the brand manager, who's the guy wearing the tie here, is going to come to us and say, hey, I just launched some new initiatives that are very important to me, like a new line extension of Sprite in partnership with LeBron James, or a new product like Coke Life. Those are really important. I just launched them last week. We started selling them. I really want to know what consumers think. Which in our case, us being a researcher on the side, like, but this is the smallest incidence you can have. You just launched it. You just started selling it into stores. It's 0.01% incidence rate. And anybody who works in sampling is going to know how hard it is to find these people. And if you take away something else from this presentation, is for crying out loud, make the researcher look cool in your graphs too. So whenever we were approached with these questions, there are 3 things that we usually looked at, or got questions on how to find those consumers in a haystack. The first one is, hey, can't you just use social listening to help find those consumers? Well, a couple of things as a researcher we will know. First of all, social listening is not representative of the population. It's just those that decide to tweet or write on Facebook. And if they write on Facebook, it's a public comment so everybody can see. So you're not getting everybody. The second thing is how low involvement our categories are. We work on water, soda, juice. It's not like people are tweeting like maniacs, oh my God, I just tried this juice, it's amazing. It doesn't really happen that often. And also the limited diagnostics you would have. There's only so much you're going to get from 144 characters. So social listening, not really the way to go. Then there's another avenue of using traditional household panels. They have well-established panels out there from companies that we all know. But the issue with having those is that they're not as nimble. The trial takes a long time for you to get enough respondents. They're primarily covering the large trips to the large stores, to your Krogers, to your Safeways. And a lot of our products get sold in C-stores, where people drink and chug the bottle, so they never get to scan when they get home. You're also reading the whole household. You're not reading the individual. So think if I'm selling Powerade to teenagers, I don't want to interview the mom. I want to interview the teenager. And of course, survey length limitations. There's only so much you can ask because you don't want to bias the respondent who is part of that big traditional household panel. And finally, there's also on-product surveys where you get your bottle and you put a little sticker on it and say, hey, please answer a survey for me for $5, iTunes gift cards, whatever incentive you can give. Some challenges with those. First, hard to operationalize. If you're part of Coca-Cola that is built on top of a machine of making as much product as you can at once, stopping that plant is really hard. Or you can try to go into the store, ask the store manager for permission to put all those stickers and hope that the store manager was told and is not going to kick out your researcher from putting in the sticker. You're also going to appeal to certain cohorts. Probably boomers are going to be more inclined to answer those surveys than teenagers. because they want the $5. Teenagers don't really care much for a check that's going to come in the mail, which ends up leading to low response rate, and which ends up leading to long time in field. So when your brand manager is coming to you with a question, I need to know something really soon, we're not really getting something that was easy for us to work on. Until one day I was at a conference, pretty much like this one, and there was a little booth from a startup, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and say, hey, we have something neat with a large panel of people that are scanning their receipts. Are you interested? Like, not really interested in that part of it, but I'm really interested in being able to send surveys to those people because I know what they bought. And that's when we got to work with InfoScout, and Bob's going to tell you a little bit about how their service works.
Awesome. Thank you, Roberto. So, anybody familiar with InfoScout in the group? Do you guys know InfoScout? Some, yes. So, 4-year-old startup out of San Francisco, started by a couple really bright guys. And the idea is the legacy or traditional panel data from Nielsen or IRI, NPD to a lesser extent, it's a 30-year-old technology of using barcode scanners. And we live in a mobile-first world now. And so everybody's got a smartphone. It's easy. It's quick. So what this is, and this doesn't seem to be the live version one, but basically we've got something called InfoScout TV. And if this was running the way I would hope that it would, you'd see that right now we've got 307, almost 308 million receipts that we've received. And the map pops like crazy because it's showing that we're processing like 300 receipts a second. So on any given day, we're collecting 300,000 discrete shopping trips. So do the math, that's like every 4 days is another 1 million shopping trips every day. And so what we've got is panel data at massive scale. So when you start looking at things like Roberto's problem, which is how do I go find this 0.1% incidence rate, we're like, not guaranteed, but we can probably find them. The second thing about doing data capture like this is that it's real time. Oh, our panel data is only updated monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually, whatever you can afford for panel data. Ours is updated every night. Somebody takes a picture of a receipt today, we process it that night, and we're reporting on it tomorrow. So if I'm your brand manager who look pretty cool and hip, speed is everything. Because you've got maybe 90 days to go justify that SKU being on shelf. Otherwise, your buyer's going to start saying, well, the next guy's in here, Pepsi's trying to sell me that we should be carrying their thing. And you can't demonstrate to me that you're driving trips, you're driving basket size, so we're going to move on. So speed really matters. The third aspect about data collection like this is that it's omni-channel. So traditional legacy is going to be FMCG kinds of retailers, whether it's Walmart, Kroger, Dollar Store, things like that. But to Roberto's point, C-store, instant consumption. So I drank it, it's gone. The receipt's not gone though. The can might be gone that you were going to scan, not really. So omni-channel. But depending on your category, maybe a little less so with some Coke products, but in a lot of other categories where things are moving online, in every newsletter that you guys read, every conference that you go to, it's all about omni-channel, and is it a threat or is it a boost to our business? And so we're not only getting receipts from brick and mortar trips, but a significant part of our panel is also providing us the ability to scrape their email, as well as have access into what they're buying on Amazon. So at the Simrot household level, we know that a year ago they were buying products brick and mortar. It's now moved to an online world. And then the last bit that is highly relevant to this is the ability to survey, which is what we're going to talk about in just a sec. So, here we go. That was it. See? Let me just keep processing receipts. So, old days, a little bit hard to take the scanner and turn that into a survey. New world, consumer takes a picture of a receipt. We itemize what they bought on the receipt, so I know that she bought Clorox bleach. Well, I'd really like to understand that purchase. Awesome. Mobile delivery of the survey. Typically, we're asking about 15 questions. Don't have to ask all the screener questions. Hey, are you in this category? Do you buy at this store? How often do you buy it? I already know all that stuff. So Then we can have very focused, we get about 55% response rates on surveys. So if you're in the sampling world, you probably have an appreciation for that. So now we've got the ability to marry the behavioral data with the attitudinal data, which is hugely interesting to Roberto and his brand manager, and tends to look around first and second moment of truth. How'd you find it? What got your attention? What was your initial reason for purchasing it? And then second moment of truth, now that you've had the opportunity to interact with the product, how did you like it? Likelihood that you would repeat purchase? Would you recommend it to somebody? So really being able to get in the moment within, it could be literally a couple of days of that purchase to trigger that survey and not rely on recall or claim behavior. But it's like, yeah, I drank that yesterday, it was awesome. So that's kind of what I think I had, Roberto.
Okay. So we talked about different ways for you to capture and find a consumer in a haystack. And nowadays, thanks to us working with InfoScout, when you get the brand manager and come ask us, hey, what do my early triers think about Simply Juice, tropical flavors, or aluminum bottle cans, which are introductions that are pushing more and more into the marketplace, we can usually say, now I can find them, and I can finally very quickly and a lot faster than I used to, and provide the results tied to the behavioral aspect of consumers. So in a nutshell, that's what we wanted to present to you guys. So open up for Q&A.